Everybody ready? Everybody's quietly
I know, it's just like
anticipating.
we're in the starting blocks, Brian. We're ready to go.
Yeah,
we're watching the gunman to fire that shot.
Okay.
Well, that was good.
Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks!
It never, ever gets old. Thank you, Brian. That was wonderful.
You're welcome, Brian. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good. Got a lot going on. We got great guests today. Got a lot of events coming up.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on. How's that nano dropper working for you? I know you brought that in last.
I got to say, it works like a charm.
Yeah. I know.
Really great product. Really, I love simplicity. I love effectiveness. I love the fact that they killed it, with their goals and their ambition. I mean, really just a great story, Cinderella story.
Yeah. We had Alyssa Song in here, one of the first shows, and she is the CEO of Nano Dropper. Brian went looking for an eye drop, found it, and it happened to be her product. We also had the investor.
I was told I have to use eye drops, and immediately I thought to myself, oh, good. I get to use a nano dropper. There it is on top of my little eye drop.
This is not
I need one of those too, Brian. I desperately do, because I just started having to take daily eye drops.
So the drop that comes out of the bottle from the manufacturer is about 40 times bigger than it needs to be, and it dribbles all down your face.
Exactly right.
And this cuts it down to just the amount that you need. And this stuff is not cheap, right? I'll give you the one that I'm using, but none of them are cheap. And so the nano dropper, I think, was $20 on Amazon, and you save loads of money over time. So really, what more could you possibly want?
Yeah, we had Genevieve in here. She invested in them. They didn't know each other previous, but hey, Silicon Valley Impact, making a difference.
Right?
Yeah.
That's who we want to be, and that's really who we are, Brian.
All right. Well, let's do who we are. I want to welcome... Brian is back. I want to welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own.
Good job, Brian.
Thanks, buddy.
It's nice to have a purpose for being here.
Yeah, there is a purpose.
Feels good, like my special purpose.
But we got a lot, as I mentioned, Brian, we got a lot going on. We have TechCrunch coming on. Silicon Valley Impact is a sponsor of TechCrunch.
Yep.
So you're definitely going to want to check out all our posts on Silicon Valley Impact to get access to those discounts, which is 25% for tickets, and you're going to want to take advantage of that. In addition, on day one, October 27th, we are having an after party at WorkWise, so you're going to definitely want to check that out. Get your tickets now. That is going to sell out because, again, we can only accommodate so many people. So check out our post there. And Kelly, Brian, we're all going to be, and Filip, you may be joining. Oh, no. You're going to be joining us too, Ivan, in Opal, right? You guys are probably going to are you going to be in Opal? Yeah,
at
Opal, the end of this month.
Yeah,
so
we'll
we're
all be
going
there. Well, three of us anyway.
We'll all be there at the Opal event in Napa. I believe that's October 22nd to the 24th.
Correct.
So you can go to our posts and get tickets there as well. And finally, last week we had Shashish on here. He is the chairman of the IIT conference for 2026. AJ Thomas, who will be in here next week, and I will be co-hosting and emceeing that event. And if you want to get tickets or get involved, you're not going to want to miss that. I mean, aside from CES, this is going to be the largest, most influential, and exciting, in my opinion, conference of the year. So
this is Silicon Valley Impact.
Right on cue, as usual, Brian. Say it enough. I love it. All right, so I want to give a big shout out to our partners, Stack Ventures and the Agentic. Again, this isn't possible without their partnership. You got a big smile on, Brian.
Well, you're rattling stuff off.
I know.
You're plowing through. You're reading your cue notes over there.
No, that was all ad lib. I didn't read anything but names.
Really?
That was all, yeah.
What are you staring at your computer for then? I mean, on camera here, it looks like you're reading it all off. I mean, I'm just not feeling, I don't feel the emotion.
No, Brian, that was...
I want to do another take.
That was all me.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
it won't be the same next week.
All right, maybe you're just in a rush.
I told
we have so many valuable people here, and we want to get on with the real meat of the story.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I had 2 shots of coffee this morning, so that's what's kicking in right now.
So you're really going to town.
Yeah.
All right.
Taco Bell last night.
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. We've got 3 great guests today. Definitely going to have fun conversation. I know the hour is going to go quick, but let's.
Speaking of which.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome.
There goes the time. All right, so
You're already 5 minutes in.
We got Kelli, Filip, and Ivan. Kelli, good to see you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Great to be here with both of you.
Yeah.
All of you.
It's going to be fun. So give a little quick 30-second, 20-second introduction to
30 seconds?
Yeah, our millions and millions of fans.
Probably need more than that, but I'll do my best.
I know she needs more than that.
I know.
You can have more than 30 seconds. I grant you more than 30 seconds.
I promise to try to be brief, but me talking about my background and succinct, it's challenging. It's a long career.
It's going to be fun. We'll go for it.
And a very cool career. I mean,
It
we've heard some of it before, so I say have at it. Take all the time you need.
So ladies and gentlemen, boys and
don't
girls.
let Brian's espresso mania cut you off.
All right. Go for it, Kelli.
Well, I am a native Silicon Valley resident. I grew up here when it was orchards. It's not that long ago. I'm not that old, but it really was orchards.
I remember those days.
And so I literally grew up, laying trays of dried fruit in summer as a teenager and later working in the very same soil at Apple. So that's roots, right?
Yeah.
And so sort of being birthed in the land of innovation definitely changed my, just informed how I would operate in the world. And my hometown is actually Cupertino, also Apple's hometown. My story is very much a Forrest Gump type journey. Everything just kept coming around me. I just stayed there and it kept coming around. So, in high school, I was a member of the Future Business Leaders of America group, and they asked us to find a local business person that we would have as a mentor. There was only one name on my list because Apple was just starting at that point as like the Wonka factory in the backyard. And so I chose Willy Wonka himself, Steve Jobs, to be my mentor. And he agreed. He had never done that before, but he sized me up, asked me a few questions, figured I was worth his time. And that began a game-changing, multi-decade experience that didn't end until like the year before he died when he was too weak to really engage. And that did inform everything about how I see and operate in the world, my aesthetics, my innovation passion. I later, I had a vision from a young age of what I would do for a living. Thought I was going to be a record producer like George Martin and bridge the worlds of music and technology. That was my passion. Again, from 16 years old. Actually, I was 8 years old when that happened. By the time I was 16, I was taking recording engineering courses after high school as soon as I could drive. And so that was going to be my career track. I also put myself through college working at Guitar Player and Keyboard magazines, which happened to be, guess what, based in Cupertino. Believe it or not.
You didn't have to go far.
I didn't have to go far.
It all came to you.
And then I wound up going to Hollywood, and because that's where the music industry was, and I wound up working out of the Capitol Records Tower as a young A&R executive, managing the talent on the roster and scouting talent at night after work. When Apple knocked, colleagues had gone to Apple, and I'd left my family and my fiance in Cupertino, and they said, "Look, we think we want to start a focus on music here at Apple, and we think you're the person to do it. We know you, we love you, you've got the music experience and all the relationships, so come back and do this." And I did, and that began the beginning of Apple Music and everything to do with Apple in the entertainment space more broadly, film, etc. And so people often say, gee, there was something at Apple before iTunes in the music space. Yes, there was. I built brick by brick every relationship with every musician and filmmaker in the industry for Apple and making sure they were using Apple's tools as their creative partners of choice. I had a vision for what would then become the consumer-facing side of that, which would be iTunes, but couldn't get arrested on deploying that until Steve came back. And all the while, even while Steve was out and I was there, he retained the role of being my mentor. So all the years of him taking on Pixar and everything else. This story is getting a lot longer than I wanted it to.
That's a good teaser because we're definitely going to double click on a lot of those.
That's only the beginning of my career. So the other half is when I left Apple, I started working across the ecosystem with venture capitalists and founders and leaders, started consulting to founders and like I said, leaders both in tech and media entertainment, not surprisingly, and ultimately became what we call a trusted advisor. My original trusted advisor clients were Prince and Michael Jackson. and that then went on to become a wide variety of lesser known names, but no less influential in terms of what they did in the tech innovation world and stuff. So I've been a trusted advisor for the better part of the last couple of decades. And in that regard, I get exposure to all manner of new technology on the cutting edge, and try to sit in the middle of it and help founders make sense of what they need to avoid and what they need to embrace, and help prevent and solve expensive problems.
Is it still in that entertainment space you focus on?
No, I'm much broader than that. I still do work in music and tech, but I'm now sector agnostic.
Okay.
So I have clients in all ranges of innovation, and what I filter for is the actual people I'll be working with, whether they're leaders of Fortune 100 companies or founders. It's the people that I choose to work with, and I only work with a handful of individuals and companies per year at this point. And it doesn't matter what the sector is. My breadth and expertise is broad enough to cover whatever sector I'm working in.
I love it. Okay, and we're definitely going to touch in a few of those sectors. I definitely want to bring in Filip and Ivan. So we'll definitely kind of have this organic conversation about startup and just your journeys. We'll weave it all together because I think we're all playing on the same field, and we have a lot to give. And I'm excited for our audience to get to know all of you. But Filip, thanks for coming, buddy. Good to see you. Give a quick little introduction. Oh, and by the way, I'll get back to that. I just had a moment, Brian, so forgive me.
You're forgiven.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Filip, go ahead and give a little quick introduction about who you are and what you're working on.
Thanks for having me. First of all, it's great to be here. I always saw the post on LinkedIn, and it's a great pleasure to be here. Well, in terms of background, originally from Slovakia. Just to give a little bit of background, what the country is like. Just like Silicon Valley, you mentioned tech. Slovakia is an automotive nation, so very heavy on certain innovations in history as well, such as the parachute that we use today. But certainly a small country, small region. Bay Area is population-wise much bigger than the entire country. But originally from there, came here for college to Silicon Valley exactly for the reason of looking for those kinds of opportunities, seeing Silicon Valley as a major tech hub worldwide. And then during college, when I was at Santa Clara University, I discovered this thing called venture capital. I knew about startups, but I didn't know what the other side of the table is. And once I was studying, I suddenly found this great place that you can explore in terms of investing into emerging technologies coming out of this great place, but also around the world. And especially comparing it to where I'm from, it's nowhere close. And so started delving deeper into that. And then ever since then, I've been focused on helping emerging companies invest in them in all sorts of categories. The current fund I'm working for, we mainly focus on biotech and life sciences as well as deep tech, so like robotics, industrial tech. But it's great to see. I mean, I came here mainly for the mindset, and which is to date I really like, because compared to Europe, Europe is very risk averse in many ways, and that's why venture capital has been thriving here so much. So background wise, yes, coming from Europe and now based in Silicon Valley, helping startups grow.
I love it, and yeah, so we'll dive into that a little bit more. And I'm sure you and Kelli will geek off each other in terms of what your perspectives have been. And in particular, Filip, you have different perspectives from different cultures all over the world and how it's done differently. And we can kind of get a little contrast, because a lot of the startups that are listening now want to know what it's like to go global. What does it mean to scale? And you can shed a little perspective on that. We'll come back to that. But Ivan, good to see you. We met last year, I think at Napa, where I also met Kelli. But good to have you on the show. Give a little intro, who you are and what you're working on.
Well, thanks for your invite. We actually just got back from Napa for the Napa Car Show, and where we tried quite a bunch of AI-generated music to elevate the experience for supercars, wines, and friends. But I'm Ivan. I'm with Wavv, which is a music AI venture based in San Francisco. And you probably have heard some of the projects that we've been working on past 15 years, part of entertainment industry, particularly in gaming. So we produce and wrote music for video games such as Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, Kingdom Hearts. I was the music director to Assassin's Creed pre-COVID. And I am still a little new compared to Kelli, who's from the Silicon Valley. I moved here around 3-4 years ago. And without knowing anyone, anything, at the time our production house was based in Boston, And I was like, hold on, if the technology and entertainment, art and science can be put together, what would be this presentation? What would this world going to be like? So with curiosity, I came here to the Bay Area, started going out for events, meeting new people, and eventually I was suggested, so Ivan, people host events here. Why don't you host events? And I was like, well, I can play a little bit of piano, just like before this podcast, we were like, if there's a piano, I can play some music here live. But the thing is that, yeah, we have a bunch of like engineering developer events in town. If you do music, why don't you do music events? So we started this like little music salon from our little living room. And we had around like 20 guests for our music salon. And little by little, it grew to somewhere there's like 200 people come to our salon. And very soon we realized that there's no way that our living room would be able to fit in this number of people. And we started to have like really interesting guests showing up. Like one time, Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, showed up and like, oh, what is this about? And we're like, yeah, this is music. How did you hear about this event? And he was like, oh, I'm in the neighborhood. And people started talking about, oh, there's like music events here and there. It's rare to see that people are doing such things, because when you see like Silicon Valley, it's very much tech driven, but actually like people love music here. Yeah. And it's a lot underwater going on. So we were like, oh, why don't we try different things? So eventually Wavv was born, and we're a huge believer that music is all about creativity, humanity, but also science and math.
Yeah. And so talk a little about specifically, and by the way, the Napa event you were at, was that Cassandra's event? Did you go to that? Was that Cassandra McClure's event where she was doing the car show? I saw her posting about that.
I think that might be because we went to different vineyards, and there was like different car rallies. So it's a bunch of different places all together.
Yeah. She was part of that. So she's a friend of the show. So I just thought I'd point that out. But talk a little bit about your startup now. What is this? It's music done by AI. Is that what I understand? Tell us a little bit about that.
So we actually started from when I was with Assassin's Creed. The thing is that, so Assassin's Creed is a franchise that's been out there for around like 15 years by now. And there are so many pieces of music. There's around like 13, 14 composers that worked on this IP, including Brian Tyler, who scored for Avengers, Iron Man. Lauren Bao scored for Mission Impossible.
And you were part of the team?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we have to like manage all the composers together and start to put music into a 2-hour-long symphony. So we have like around 1,000 to 2,000 hours of music from the franchise since its inception.
Oh, wow.
Then I was like, okay, there's no way that we're going to go through all the music note by note, musician by musician. So why don't we feed recordings, music, score into a software, a very basic software that we build, and it could give us some hint like, okay, for instance, this part of music is actually really popular in the franchise and people wanted to always hear about the music. So maybe we could extract that music from that series and we can work on something on top of it. So we started to notice that technology actually started to save us great deal of time, especially when it comes to later in life music production. They want the symphony orchestras. It's a world tour. So we're working with different symphony orchestras whenever we travel to. Then instantly we understand that there's no way that you could land, for instance, in San Francisco, meet 120 musicians and have the show the same night. And without a little bit of help of technology. So this idea started to like grow up like, okay, so let's try to develop a few things. So I'm going to jump in for a second.
So just to kind of recap for our audience, you were working on Assassin's Creed. Forgive me for being music naive here, but you were taking all this data, feeding it into the software. It would then kick out some sort of new music, and you were that kind of fit the moment, and you kind of took that, and now it's become pretty much your company, right?
Exactly. It's like a cross analytics process first. First of all, we wanted to know musically what would be the best to present in the live concert.
Is this in real time, or is this you kind of set it up beforehand?
Almost real time, but we also have done a lot of pre-train and pre-recording and stuff because. I mean, when you are doing live concert show, you have like around all the way from 4,000 people to 12,000 people behind you.
Yeah.
If you do this 100% real time, it's going to give you a hard time.
And who's now like looking to you for this type of service? What kind of customer would grab onto this? Is it other video games or is it other events?
Well, for instance, the Napa event, the car show, right? The entire weekend, the music experience is now powered by Wavv's AI language model. And we talked about video games. When I was at Assassin's Creed, we tried a little bit of technology and a little bit of AI just to kick in and see how tech could be helpful. Then this field started to be expanding. For instance, we're talking about Roblox, right? You can now build video games regardless where you are, and you have the engine, you have the tools that you can build video games. But the thing is that video games is the most fun and immersive experience when there's like a great audio, great storytelling, great character design, and everything. And music played a big role. So we started to do gaming. Not mention advertising. Like now you scroll Instagram, TikTok. There's a chance that the music that you experience might be part of our technology is like part of the content and advertising. So there's a lot of
and then you went from Napa, well, other way around, to NASA. I had to throw that in, but you started in NASA.
Oh, you're living out the good stuff, Ivan. Come on. So, yeah, you've really made some
Napa to
traction.
NASA, don't you love it?
So I want to tease it a little bit, right? And so now we've kind of introduced our guests. I want all of us to kind of jump in on this because we're all playing in the same field. And I always ask this question of all my guests: what is it about this startup ecosystem building Silicon Valley? And Kelli, I'll start with you. That you really love. What part? I mean, you've done it for a while now, and you've worked with the best of the best, built some amazing. Where's that? Is that love still there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's who I am. I'm very much an innovator at heart. My biggest problem is being a visionary and seeing what's possible years before the rest of the world catches on. For example, with what Ivan's doing, I'm not going to say I had a vision for exactly what he's doing, but I've been dabbling in AI for 20 years easily. Mm-hmm. And my mind works like an AI. So I really get the synthesis of all these opportunities when they come up. So that's why I say I'm agnostic about the sector. It's just about embracing the innovation in the ecosystem and pulling these technologies through where they make sense, cross industry, cross individuals, different sizes of companies. I'm still very passionate about that.
And you love it. And right now, I mean, if we can kind of leap to where you are now, you're still doing a lot of that consulting and sharing.
Advisory, yeah.
Yeah, and sharing. I know, and the reason why I'm going to say this is a lot of founders, they get into the area of expertise and they get
myopic.
They get siloed, they get focused, and we need that depth of insight, but you kind of give them.
Then I take the lens and expand whatever they're doing. I expand the vision of what they've got. I help them with their go-to-market, with their strategy, growing and scaling, connecting them with the right people in the industry and partnerships that they need. So it's really sort of diving in and helping them bring their vision to life and expand its value in the marketplace.
Where do you think the biggest stumbling blocks are for startups when they're taking their area of expertise to market?
I think there's some internal, and I'm very multidimensional, so I look across the whole thing. There's some internal challenges of them not knowing what they don't know and needing some navigational help. And then there's some external challenges with, is it the right time in the market? Is there a demand for what they're doing? Do they have to create a demand? Who else is out there doing it? What resources do they need? What are the challenges they're up against? So knowing all of the questions to ask and then pulling the right resources in to support them is absolutely critical for their survival.
And it sounds like your mentoring has kind of come full circle. You were mentored by the best.
Yeah.
And now, and do startups come to you specifically for mentoring, or they come to you once there's a fire and they say, no, we need help?
Yeah, see, again, I don't like the words mentor or coach or anything. Those are parts of what I do, but really it's very strategic. I'm like a surgeon. It's advisory work. So it's very much on point. It includes coaching and all that, and mentoring, but it's a lot more strategic on the business side. People come to me mostly by referral, or unless I happen to meet them at an event. Ivan and I met. We've talked. You know, he's a great example of I love what he's doing. I've always wanted to support him at the right time. So either people come to me by referral, or I reach out to people I'm inspired by, and that's how it works.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a look at where startups are kind of having their blind spots as we move along. But Filip, I got to ask you.
But one more thing, it's not just the founder, it's not just the startups at large that have blind spots. It's the founders and leaders themselves.
The whole team.
They don't know what they don't know. So it's a question of bringing in people around them that maybe can help them not fall into the traditional pitfalls.
So what you're saying is don't have 3 engineers on your founding teams, kind of.
Yeah, because you can get way too
diversify.
myopic. Would you agree with that, Filip?
I think that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So Filip, so on to you. What is it about this ecosystem that drew you in, that you still love, that gets you up in the morning? I asked this question of all my guests because I think there's a big passion when it comes to Silicon Valley, and it's needed. You can't just be an opportunist. There's something different, right? There's something deeper. And so I always ask that question, like, where does it come from for you, Filip?
I mean, I could definitely agree with what you mentioned. I think I always explain it, especially back home. It's like you're looking at a crystal ball, and everything that happens here is like what you see in 5-10 years, maybe even more nowadays. Maybe with AI, it's a little bit speeded up, but I can see, it was a beautiful example with agentic AI, how it was here a common thing, and it is. And in Europe, it was just becoming a thing. I mean, maybe in Western Europe, it was a little bit sooner, but you could see kind of like a wave. Just like with recession and other cycles, it was just coming slowly there. But I think every day is very different here. You see very talented people. I think I call it like intellectual capacity per square footage here is just unbelievable. I mean, all the big talent, all the brain power is just right in this, you could say small but fairly big area. But
like nowhere else in the world.
No, like nowhere else in the world, 100%. And a lot of countries, a lot of places want to replicate it, and they're not quite there. And I think that's a lot to do with the mindset, with the, it's US as general, but especially here in California and Silicon Valley in general. You could see it during COVID, they were talking a lot about like the kind of migration of brain power into other states. But a lot of times those people came back because it was just missing that spirit. And that spirit comes with different components. And one of them is something you cannot replicate. And that's, because there's a lot of with capital. You have the big tech that built, big infrastructure like the park or other headquarters that there are built. But that's not only about the physical, so to speak, hardware. It's just the combination of people that are here.
Yeah. And do I mean, being from, spending time in multiple parts of the world, do you see a difference culturally? It sounds like it's a big yes, but what are some of the main differences culturally that stand out for you? You said earlier the risk aversion piece. I don't know if we said that in the green room or on air. Can't remember, but but there's the green room. Any others that kind of stand out? Because the reason why I'm asked that is our audience is looking to scale. They're looking to go international. They're looking to land, and of course the customer needs may be different. What are some of the differences in country when it comes to startup?
It's a good question. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's benefits and advantages also to Europe. Like we invest also in Europe and US, and there's a lot of great talent, especially from Central Eastern Europe. There's a lot of founders who are willing to take the leap to go immediately to US. Sometimes they jump through, let's say, UK or some neighboring countries and then go to US, or they just simply go here, do a Delaware C Corp, and they just begin. I think there's a lot of tech talent. Like they're very capable in terms of tech. Risk aversion is definitely the big one. I think with the new generation, especially even back home, one of the countries where the language is simply not applicable in other countries, English, for example, proficiency is really high, which helps, obviously. It's a combination. I mean, risk aversion, I think it's also kind of like thinking big. Sometimes the people cannot think outside of the borders. And I think it has a lot to do with, US as such, 50 states, obviously it's one market. But in Europe, even though it's a big market, it's 27 or so fragmented countries, different cultures. And so they cannot imagine the vast scale of when they enter US, how big it is. So I think
that's an important point. What Filip brought up is the sort of the way people think is something we don't talk about enough. The vast majority of tech founders and innovators are on the spectrum. A lot of people don't think about that, probably at least 60%. Turns out neurodivergence is a superpower. And the ability to ask critical questions, think beyond borders, be willing to be wrong and fail and try again, all of that is absolutely critical to success around innovation.
Interesting.
And group thing also adding to that. Like you mentioned, that in Europe, for example, a lot of times it's a lot about has its benefits, but thinking very community, and they don't want to oppose. They don't want to find like the questionable, controversial, you know.
Whereas I specialize in being a contrarian and asking those provocative questions. You know, for example, why are you doing it that way? Well, we've always done it this way. Well, maybe that's why you need to look at it a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Actually, critical thinking, contrarian thinking, that kind of stuff.
Which
really
in VC
helps.
is often like that. If everybody agrees on a deal, it's usually actually not a good one.
Correct.
So.
Oh, that was a good. That's a sound bite right there, Brian. That back and forth. That was golden right there. I love it.
Yeah.
Definitely got to ask Ivan you the same question. Is this your first company, by the way?
No, this is my third.
Your third company, all built in the U.S. or out of country?
The first one was in Germany. So I lived in Germany for close to 10 years. I lived in Boston for close to 10 years, and my two previous companies were there. So this Wavv, a music adventure, is the third, and that's based in Silicon Valley. But I wanted to reflect a little because I live in both Germany and Boston for 10 years. But my third month in the Silicon Valley, I went to a party at Park James in Menlo Park, and we were like getting a little champagne and dance a little around music. Then I started to chat with several guests until they revealed that, I happen to be one of the directors of NASA. And what you guys do is cool. Let's try a few things. And we didn't know what to try.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's keep in
So were you
in
dancing
touch.
to your own music? Is that what's happening?
Oh, I do that all the time.
A little of a flex, yeah.
Yeah, and a few months later, they were like, hey, Ivan, I heard that you guys do music. We have a solar eclipse global broadcasting event going on. I think everything is good, but we started to notice there's one thing missing and really wanted to enhance the experience. Like, could we add some music? Because there's no music to that broadcast. And I was like, yeah, but I need probably around like 6 weeks to produce this scale of music. And they were like, oh, you have 10 days. So why don't you use a little bit of AI to do it? So I was like, okay, I will try. So we get
That's
a
a big.
small
That's a
team.
Silicon Valley challenge.
Exactly.
Go from six. You say 6 weeks or 6 months?
Yeah.
6 weeks.
6
to-
weeks
to-
down
On the
to
other
10
hand,
days.
they wouldn't have known how to license music. NASA, come on.
Exactly. So we were like, okay, let's try a little AI, and if you guys like it, you could do it. If it's a bad idea, then let's not use it. But very soon we realized it's a very good idea. So we started to work really hard, like for the entire week. We probably didn't sleep, put together different language models, and started to calculate and to predict what kind of music this is going to be used for the broadcast. Because we understand that it's going to be around 120 million people that are going to watch this broadcast. So it went out, and you guys might actually have experienced the solar eclipse broadcast by NASA last
A year ago.
Yeah,
plus.
a year ago. And, after that, I went on to talk about this project at another conference. And the president at the time of the Netflix was down there sitting. After the talk, we had a nice chat. Instantly, they were like, okay, this is the check. I wanted to invest. But at the time, the company wasn't even incorporated, because we're in totally stealth mode.
Yeah.
So we don't have a legally incorporated venture there. So I was like, okay, give us a week. We're going to call Delaware right now. We're going to do the legal stuff so that your check could be coming in.
So I got to ask you this, because I noticed this is the speed of Silicon Valley. You get the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Take it down from 6 weeks to 10 days. Then you run into the right person, and you could do that in a coffee shop here in Silicon Valley. You're challenged again, and you're kind of like, all right, we need to speed up, right, and take control of this. Was that shocking in comparison to your startup in Germany and Boston versus now?
So there are same and different places about this, but one thing for sure is that in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, you are fine to deliver, especially for as an early stage venture, you're fine to deliver something that's like 70% ready, and it
doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
And you can always fine tune it afterwards. So that kind of concept originally was creating kind of the conflict from my system, because I came from a classical music background where everything needs to be 120% ready. So I started to adopt myself into this ecosystem and how like embrace the imperfection.
So you had to change a little bit as the founder and adapt to the
totally.
difference. Yeah,
No,
totally.
what you had to do is embrace that 70 to 80% is good enough.
Yeah,
And
just
that's
get it
another
out there,
basic
right?
principle for founders. They, oh no, we have to get it right. We have to get it right. No, when you're 70 to 80% done, stop. You're
Exactly.
probably further ahead than you think you are. And also, this notion about collapsing time. I just published an article last week. I publish thought leadership articles on LinkedIn all the time. Just did one last week about collapsing time. In the quantum physics orientation, and that's exactly what we're talking about. And I'm, by the way, a big fan of what Ivan's doing in his venture. I have been from when we started talking
thank
over a
you,
year
Kelli.
ago. I think he's really onto something huge. But yeah, this notion of adjusting to different realities is again a mindset shift that a lot of people don't even think about or know is possible.
So how do you do? I mean, Ivan's talking about going through it. It sounds like you've become Kelli. You've become very conscious of what is needed to be done to shift as a founder. What is one thing that is required of somebody who needs to shift? Like, do you need to meditate? Do you need to?
Well, you need to be open-minded is really what it comes down to. You need to be open to the fact that something, you have to ask why. Why does something have to be done? Does something have to be done in a linear fashion? No. Does it have to take 14 months? No. You have to challenge the status quo and whatever limitations you think you're up against, and play with those.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by challenge?
I mean, ask yourself provocative questions. Is this really necessary? What's necessary is it possible to take what would otherwise take 6 months and make it happen in 10 days? Yes, it is. But first you have to believe it's possible. And then you just go to work to make it happen.
I love that. And give us a little tease about this article that you wrote. But what'd you call it? The quantum?
It's quantum physics, but it's basically the notion that you can, in fact, collapse time. The notion of seeing what the end is of where you want to wind up and pulling it forward, like a blueprint for the future.
And what is one? I mean, you talked about being open-minded and challenging things. Is there anything else top of mind and how to really? I mean, Steve called it what they called it. He had when you got to almost be delusional. He had a
The
theory.
force field.
Yeah.
You know, he was very much like that. Where do you think I got the concept?
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, he would ask things like that. Somebody would say, "Oh, well, that's going to take us 6 months." He would say, "You've got 6 weeks."
There's and you laugh, Ivan, because it's exactly what you're
That's
talking
exactly
about.
what happened with NASA.
Yeah, we become used to that.
Or
kind
6
of
days.
request. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the reason, people, I don't want to divert the conversation, but the one thing people always ask about Steve with me is, what made him so crazy and mean to people? First of all, he was never mean to me in the decades we worked together as mentor-mentee. Not once. Never disrespectful. However, the reason that he was like he was with other people was because he could see the potential for them to operate at a higher level than they were. He could see what they were capable of. They couldn't see it for themselves. So he'd get frustrated because he knew they could do better, and he was trying to push them to their point of excellence. And that's what the frustration was.
What do you think that what some of the blocks are with individuals? And it could be different for everybody, right? How they justify a block. But what are some of those high-level blocks you've experienced in people that they just can't see the potential beyond their own experience?
Well, it's either fear or illusion, or they just don't. It's the way their mind works. I've always done it this way, or I can't imagine that would be possible, or, no, it's not possible. They just decide that and they give up. Or I had a failure once, so I'm not willing to try it again. It's just this fear stuff. It really comes down to fear mostly.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah.
This is exactly like when I compared it with Europe.
Exactly.
Creating roadblocks and having this kind of notion of
Status
like this
quo.
impossible. Yeah, status quo. And what you mentioned, I really like the linear thinking. I think like Silicon Valley would not be Silicon Valley if everybody thought linear.
No, we've got to take leaps. That's what's made Silicon Valley so powerful is sometimes we get the timing wrong of when the market timing happens for ventures. But if we don't act like we're 20 years ahead today, then the whole ecosystem
narrowing
is
the vision.
challenged. Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about that, Filip. I mean, when you are assessing a team, and I want to ask you all about building teams. I mean, Kelli, you've got great experience about building teams, but talk a little bit about, your due diligence process and way you evaluate the team. Because in early stages, it's not so much about the product. It's about the founder. It's about the team, how they work together. We're talking about this mindset that's so important, to push things forward.
By the way, I have to say, I also published an article last fall on due diligence and the importance of it. I think too few people do it. The whole Theranos example is the best example of all. I mean, really, that's ridiculous. But, and I spoke about this at Opal Dana Point last year on due diligence. The trick is you've got to do it. You've got to ask the right questions. You've got to poke around the edges. You've got to look at people when you're trying to build a team. It's not just what they say about themselves, what other people say about them. What attributes do you need in people? Ask questions. Can they do it? Will they do it? Are they the right people? You really have to do your homework.
Yeah, and so Filip, this is a great conversation. What is it that you look for when you're looking for a fundable company within the team?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and especially in our case with, for example, biotech, you can't really look at any traction. You're basically looking just at the background of the people. Mm-hmm. In our case, often I think we're battling kind of like we were talking about speed here, how it's important. You're often battling with other investors, and it's often fueled by hype and FOMO. But you want to make sure to be able to deploy the check fast, but at the same time do enough due diligence, and that's the tough part, I think. So oftentimes, there's these, informal advantages. It helps when it's a referral from someone that has brought you already good deals. You have to, of course, look into their background, their research. Ideally, if they've had past rodeos, it's a big advantage, but that's not always the case. Again, deep tech, biotech is very different. So let's say in deep tech, if it's robotics, industrial tech, we have to look at their technical acumen and what kind of work they've done before, what kind of team they have on there. Of course, if they have a great university and great academic background, that helps. But we want to see also practical knowledge, and we want to see what kind of published work they've done so they can actually apply it in their startup.
And do you think that the number one thing you invest in is founders and teams?
Certainly, yes. And in our case, even more so.
Yeah.
In our case, if we don't need an investment, obviously we have to deploy it fast. Mm-hmm. And then we do a follow-on investment if we have the conviction in the founder. And so from a handful of those startups, you still have to pick even smaller handful that you actually double down, triple down in further rounds. And so, 100%, I agree. And I think even if there is traction nowadays with AI, it's always the founder anyway, because it's always just the logo.
And we look at the ecosystem of the venture and the founder relationships in the Valley. A lot of the same investors keep backing the same people as they exit and move on to their next company. Mm-hmm. It's almost like when you leave you have a great team in a company like I did at Apple, those people then stay in clusters and go on to the next 4 or 5, 6 companies together.
Or even start funds. I've seen teams where it came from big tech, they create a fund and it works miraculously. And I think this is a big one where, unfortunately, with all the hype and FOMO, a lot of funds would invest in founders, even when they know that the startup might fail or they might pivot. They still want to back them because it's almost like like we always talk in VC and startup world, it's like a marriage. And so they want to be the first investor to be with that team because they see the potential, even if it's the second or third rodeo that will do.
And look what just happened today. Daniel Ek decided to step down from his operational role running Spotify because he's been working with the same 2 co-presidents that he put in that position 2.5 years ago for the last 15 plus years. So he's like, I know what these guys are capable of. I've been working with them for 15 years, so I'm comfortable stepping aside and turning the reins over to them now as co-CEOs. Mm. And so those guys will be probably working together for whatever else they do,
So once again, more clarification and validation that relationships matter in Silicon Valley. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation about Silicon Valley. I'm into it.
Super expensive, super time consuming. And now it would all be done with Ivan's technology.
Yeah, so what you just heard was Ivan's music that he created with Wavv, right?
So we used this music for the after party of OpenAI's event at their headquarters. Mm-hmm. So we tried to combine AI generated music, and at the time there was we worked with several Sora artists and scientists on the visual. So we put together visual and audio together, and we were hosting a dance party at the headquarters of OpenAI, and that's the music that you heard just now.
So someone who hears that and they go, hey, that's catchy. Who would come to you? Is it an event producer? Is it somebody who's looking to do a commercial? Is it somebody who, I mean, what?
Yes, and yes.
Yeah.
Ad agencies.
Ad agencies.
Yeah.
So
Film composers.
Mira Murati, the ex-CTO of OpenAI, asked me the same question, and we were
Great minds think alike. I just want to say that.
chilling, hanging out with a little music, and Mira and I were chatting like, hey, what do you see like the music technology that's going to go forward in the next 15 years, 25 years? And I realized that our answer has become quite straightforward and simple, which is music is everywhere, first of all. It's a global language. It's a universal language. Wherever you go, there's always a little bit of music here and there, whether it's in a shopping mall, from your mobile phone, you go to a movie theater, or you go to a show, or you go to a party, music's everywhere. So how we start calculate is that what is the proportion, what is the ratio of our technology that can go for as part of the music wherever you go? So if we can reach to around 15% or 25%, there's always a little bit of technology from us that wherever you go, music is there, our technology is there. That would be the next thing.
And the purpose of that is, I mean, whoever your audience is, whoever your customer is you're trying to enhance engagement. You're trying to enhance some sort of activity, some sort of movement that facilitates connectivity. It facilitates, if I can come full circle, engagement, right? And is there some sort of research that says, or that you may have done, that shows the difference between where there is just nothing, static background, nothing, versus, insert wave music, and there's a enhanced experience, more engagement, more customer activity?
Well, first of all, even in 2025, when we turn on music streaming platform and click the play button and started to listen to music, have you ever wondered how come music with songs nowadays, they started to sound pretty much similar to each other? They sound the same, like pop music that has an equation, according to the record labels or an artist that would be able to create so that the music sells. So
To the beats per minute.
Exactly.
I mean, they've basically synthesized what worked in the past, and they've now just narrowed it down to these very few choices for pop music.
Exactly, because from the
fit a
data, it
certain
shows us
paradigm.
And it's watered everything down, and it's stripped the music industry, in my opinion, largely, especially pop music, of creativity.
Exactly, and that's a little unfortunate, like, to be honest, because this infrastructure is sort of killing not just creativity, but also the opportunities to move forward with the discovery of music.
Yeah.
Like, we're so used to pop music right now, but there's tens of thousands of music genres that are not discovered yet.
Yeah, Brian, I got an idea. It's talking about discovery. You're coming with us to Opal.
Yeah.
Okay, Ivan's going to be there.
Yeah.
Can you bring your bass guitar and you guys can create something together?
That will be on our keyboard. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I would love to put something together. I think that would be, I mean, he's obviously
it.
somebody who's, got a lot going on. I would love to plug into that. That would be a lot of fun.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
I just have to say, I really do love what Ivan's doing. I don't want to sound like I'm gushing or anything, but, again, it's terrible to be a visionary because you see what's possible a decade, 15 years before anything happens. I was working on AI for music startups over a decade ago, and they all failed. They were all too early, and it's terrible because you're like, and we were saying the very same things I've been saying now about how to use the music.
Yeah.
It's painful to know you're right and the market is not ready. So I
suffer that all the time. I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get the problem.
I think you're right on time, Brian.
So, what's cool, we didn't mention this earlier, but I get to interview Ivan at Opal. We're going to be doing a talk there. So again, if you're listening and you want to participate in the Opal at Napa, you can go to our post and check out the link there to check out our conversation, and a lot of great guests and speakers like Kelli. Before we start to wrap up, we got a few minutes left. I definitely want to ask you guys, what's next for you? Kelli, I'm going to start with you. What's on the horizon?
I'm going to piggyback on what I was just saying. for all my passion around music tech and all my history in it, I'm still not working with any AI for music companies. And I really want to be able to do that, whether it's Ivan's or somebody else. So that's definitely a checkoff item that I need to make happen. I'm at an interesting crossroads. I mean, I've got bandwidth that I haven't had in years to be able to, it's like a whole playground is in front of me. So I've got to figure out who I want to work with and start having more conversations with the right people. I'm actually in a transition point myself right now. Also, taking a board readiness course. I may wind up sitting on some boards. That's something I haven't done a lot of. So that's a new direction. I'm very opportunistic about when people cross my path or ventures cross my path that I'm interested in.
I think it'd be fun. I mean, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it'd be fun to connect you with AJ Thomas of Good Trouble Ventures. They focus specifically on entertainment, music tech. I can't really talk much, but they got a lot of great things going.
I would love that.
Yeah.
The trick is they kind of need to be far enough along where we can actually structure an engagement that makes sense. Because if they're too early, they're not ready for me to help them accelerate with my partnerships, and they may not be able to afford to work with me. So that's the one issue.
Yeah. So I'll introduce you to that fund. I think that'd be a great conversation, and definitely a great mix of connections that I think you both have. Filip, could I ask you what's next for you?
Definitely continuing investments. I mean, I view it as my passion, so I definitely want to continue, especially early stage. I feel like there's so much unknown in that sort of stage that I want to continue in it, and just continue to help people. And investment is one form of them. Continuing students who want to break into VC. I'm still early on myself, but of course I've been in the same shoes in university. And the other part is, I think, the bridging the gap between my home and as well as here. I think there's a lot of talent, like, as I mentioned. I think there's more knowledge and more information about how to do that. But having somebody boots on the ground, I want to help the people. And the same vice versa. I think a lot of people and a lot of companies want to move to Europe, but often it's the vice versa. So
you need that. You're the bridge, kind of a bridge in that regard.
Yes, exactly.
And by the way, I want to add one more thing to what I'm doing next that Filip reminded me of because of who he is and what he's doing. I want to be able to support more venture and PE firms with supporting some of the founders in their portfolio firms, increase their capacity to be successful to exit because of my advisory support. So I want to be able to lean in more and do that.
That's nice, yeah.
God, I wish I could just sit here and listen to what that all entails, because a first-time founder, I mean, just they have so many blind spots, and to hear where they may be missing in some of those conversations would be super interesting. So yeah, I'd love to hear that. Ivan, I'm going to be seeing you in a few weeks. We're going to be having a conversation, but beyond that conversation, what's next for Wavv and you?
Well, we are in a very interesting period of time, and we are, like all of us, are lucky enough to embrace technology going forward. I mean, around 40, 50 years ago, MIDI was invented in San Francisco, and that changed the way music was created and produced. And now we're looking at how artificial intelligence can actually move that to another level, so that I would say it's only the start of this industry or this music world, which is because our AI started to create some kind of hallucination and also different bugs, but it leads to some pieces of music with a genre that we could never discover. So these are something that's really new. Like it's going to change the whole, I would say, the ecosystem of how music's being produced and later being distributed and all the infrastructure.
By the way, to that point, there's this one Mongolian rock band, heavy metal. That's it.
Yeah,
there's
it's crazy,
one.
right?
And it's like, people, I can't
but
think
they're really
it's
good.
Like two
Yeah,
letters.
no, I know who
it's
you're
like
talking about.
RU or something. Oh, sorry, that was me. But anyway, it's the point is there may be all kinds of music coming out of those parts of the world that we would otherwise never be exposed to.
Exactly.
That the AI can create and amplify, and otherwise you would never. Who's going to listen to that stuff?
We're trying all different things here. For instance, next week, Tech Week San Francisco, we're hosting the opening party to kick off the Tech Week, and you guys are invited because the music there, it's our AI DJ.
Nice. That's nice.
Can we do back to back?
Yes.
I want to know about this AI DJ. Is that an AI that's picking popular music that's already been produced and just putting it together, or is it producing music in real time?
Originally, so it's like new music.
All of it.
Original music.
But based on the beats per minute algorithm.
128
Yeah.
EDM, right?
Oh, now we're talking, right? We have 128, we have 110, we have 144 that you can really dance.
Earlier.
We have 90 that could
I used to DJ. I have to. We have to talk
we're
about
geeking out on you.
Yeah, we're all smiling. It gets
Geeking out.
dangerous. But how,
Wait, Philip, you're also a DJ?
Hobby.
He dabbles.
Yes,
fair.
exactly.
That's fair. You're a DJ.
I lip sync. That's about as far as it goes.
Maybe a little air guitar, Brian?
Yeah, a little air guitar.
I think I've seen that at a party before.
Yeah, a little knee slapping. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right. Well,
Don't quit your day job, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm right where I want to be. Ivan, how can people connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Ivan Linn, Linn. I guess I'm everywhere. It's very easy to find me.
Ivan is everywhere.
Ivan, yeah,
He keeps showing up at all these events.
All right, Philip, how can people connect with you?
Same here. Practically everywhere. LinkedIn probably the best.
Okay. Kelly, how can people?
Likewise, LinkedIn, Kelli Richards, Kelly with an I. But I also have a website under my name, kellyrichards.com. That's pretty robust.
Okay. And I got to ask before you go, because everyone who's listening, who is a fan of Silicon Valley is thinking of the legend Steve Jobs, who you were so close with and friends with. What is one or two top of mind insights that he gave you that really, really stuck with you?
There are so many. They're wired throughout my DNA.
Yeah.
That is not
I
a
can
joke.
feel it. Yeah.
That is not a joke. One is and I wrote about these in one of my books that I published called The Magic and Moxie of Apple, An Insider's View. And, but the always hire A players comes to mind. But part of the diligence we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Another is, seek to be excellent in everything you do, but 80% is good enough. And
so I did promise this question to our audience. I know we already gave kind of like what's next and context, but I don't care. What does it really take to build a great team? I mean, you built great teams. You've seen great talent. You've seen people who had potential but not reach it. What does it really take in the beginning to build a great team?
Well, you've got to look at their backgrounds individually. You've got to look at their talents, what they're capable of, what are their passions, what do they gel? Is there rapport among the team members? What were they educated? Some people put a lot of weight on that. What have they done in the past?
Yeah.
There's 101 questions.
Yeah. It's really a cocktail, right, of many things. Yeah.
And a lot of it's nuanced. It's not black and white. You've got to operate from your own intuition and guiding compass.
Yeah, you're not putting it on a T-shirt. It's really, a multifaceted thing. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank Kelly, Philip, and Ivan for being here today. I wish we had a couple hours to talk. You guys are all fascinating. Thank you so much for being here. Brian, great job. And I look forward to this airing and all of you getting a chance to listen to our guests. But again, go to YouTube and Spotify and Apple to listen to all our shows. We have amazing people here. Once again, thank you for being here. We'll see you all soon.